more about herself, and we'll walk everybody through kind of how you can jazz up your LinkedIn profile. So, hey, floor is yours. Thank you.
Everybody hear me okay if I put it on? Thank you.
Can you hear at home?
Yep. That sounds good.
Okay. Hi, everybody at home too. Hi, I'm Rae Greenip. And so just real quick, I was a CXO and CMO for a LinkedIn lead gen company that was a SaaS-based platform, and I did all of the strategy for their clients, and that's how I became specialized sort of in LinkedIn as opposed to just general marketing websites, which I've been doing for about 6 years. So just want to put out there that at this point, I have optimized over 400 profiles. So don't be shy if you want to reach out to me and have me take a little gander for you and stuff like that. I'm more than happy to, and I've literally seen it all. So no sweat there. But LinkedIn, if you're not too familiar with the platform or just starting to dive into it, it is constantly changing. There are constant updates to the profile. There's constant updates to what they're doing. There's features that they gave us and then they took it away and all of these things. So even though I have been here before, and anybody that's seen me before, you may pick up a couple new things as there's been quite a few changes this year, and actually some really cool things that I think are great for showcasing people in transition or maybe wanting to go into different industries and stuff. You can play around with kind of showcasing different kinds of keywords and stuff like that to help your profile shine to really your target audience. So what I always find best is to kind of just go through the profile step by step. And so we'll just take it from top to bottom and kind of go through some things that you can edit and will want to, and kind of have it more facing. I don't want to be that girl that says professional brand, but I mean, that's kind of the general term, right, for what you're putting out there. And really that's just you using, you know, the words in terms that are going to make you kind of attractive to where you're trying to go. So that's all I mean by that. Not this big, scary personal brand. But like I said, we'll take it from the top. Your link is actually able to be personalized here. Yeah. What was it? What? The edit button. Which one? A second. I'm sorry. Which button? Oh. Of course.
Recording in progress.
Okay, sorry about that. So your link is personalizable. And why you'd want to do that is because LinkedIn generally kind of assigns a bunch of random numbers after your name. So just to make it a little cleaner, a little better as you're giving it out, you know, on your resume and things like that, you're going to want to clean it up. So you can actually edit. And actually, I should probably start by coming to, just in case you're not familiar, we'll go back to the home screen. So this is when you log in. And then if you just click on your name on the left, that's where you can get your whole profile to pull up and all these nice little pens that you can go ahead and edit the different pieces. So you can edit your public profile and URL right here on this little thing here. Now, for example, there's probably more Jay Gormans out there than just one, right? So even if you're just trying to edit it to just your name, I was lucky. I must be the only Rae Greenip because I was able to just have Rae Greenip and not need anything after. So, so if you have to have something after your name, which a lot of times it will, we'll just click this edit here, and then you can put in what, you know, that part of your link that's editable there. As you can use something like a keyword. So maybe it's J-Gorman-banker. You know, so it could be something to do with, think about it in those terms. If there's not like a screaming keyword for like where you want to go and what you want to do, or maybe you're still deciding, that's okay too. Like even if you have to put like a -2 or dash MBA, you know, J Gorman MBA or something, if you have like an MBA or a degree or something like that, that maybe you want to put after your name. That's always good too. So you can go ahead and save that. Sometimes it does take a couple seconds too. If you save, LinkedIn is very funky when it comes to these little things. It has its own mind. So if it doesn't look like it's saved, just give it a few minutes and it'll save or refresh or come back later and you'll see that it's saved. So most of the time, anyway. So if we go back to, let's see, go back to our home screen, over here. So up here at the top, you definitely want to have both, you know, either your current position or something featured here. If that's not really the case, then you want to also have your education featured here. So of course I have my business, the fractional right hand, and then I have Montclair State University, which is where I got my BA. And the reason that it's important to put the education on there is like, you never know where that could be a connection point with somebody. You know, like maybe I'm going to interview and that person actually is, their alma mater is also Montclair State University. And it could be this wacky coincidence, and it could be the difference between you or the other guy getting to go to a second round interview. You know what I mean? So think of things, little things in terms of connection point and who's reading your profile as you're going through and doing these things, and what kinds of keywords, you know, you want to think about including and things like that. So now we'll talk about the headline a little bit. Now, you want to be outside the box and also you. So thinking about, you know, maybe we don't want to just say, you know, I'm Jay Gorman and I'm a banker looking for my next, you know, my next role. Think about what it is that sets you apart, that you only you bring to the table. You know, for example, like one of the skills that I always say to people is that you know, I say as a uniqueness as my asset to your team is that I see, I have an eye for detail while also seeing a big picture, which is, you know, supposedly a rare combination in the professional world. So something like, you know, think about those kinds of things. And these days, I know you're probably sick of people going in your face like soft skill, soft skill, soft skill. But seriously, think about really who you are, because it's important to be able to put it out there, because those are the people you want to attract, people that appreciate who you actually are, because that's what's going to make it a fit for the right next move, right? And a place where you can, you know, settle in and call your new awesome career move, right? So that can be a little tricky. You know, there's also connection point that you can put in here where, you know, if you're a dad of 5, you might want to put something like that. I mean, that can also kind of speak to your professional skill set, that you're like, even at home, you manage a team of 5, you know? So something like that could be something. We will talk a little bit about the profile picture as well. One of the unfortunate changes, LinkedIn used to have something called a cover story, where you could actually have a little video featured there, which was really cool, which I think was probably a talking point the last time that I presented. They have taken away that feature. I guess it didn't quite go well, or what have you. Maybe the technology was too expensive and they were like, forget it. It was kind of cool because it was like a 30-second thing. So like you could put like a favorite professional quote in there, or, you know, just to kind of like, so somebody can kind of get your energy there like real quick and that kind of thing. Anywho, now we're just stuck back with the regular old picture. So, you know, I challenge you to think about the headshot in a way that, you know, typical, of course, would be a headshot with good lighting where you can see there's no odd shadows and things like that, where you can see your face. And that's the whole thing, is so people can actually recognize you when they've talked to you online. They have your resume and everything that they want to be able to, when you walk in or click onto the Zoom call or whatever, they're like, oh, that's Jay Gorman, you know. But think about too, I recently did a stint with a headhunting agency, and their stance behind profile picture was, I have a dog, so I want a picture of myself with my dog because that's like a good connection point for people. So think about it. It really kind of depends on your comfortability level in the industry you're in. You know, and I wouldn't give advice either way, because it's kind of like whichever direction you go, that's you. So if you're putting yourself out there and you're being genuine and authentic, that's really what matters. But like I said, just keep in mind though, with the, like I said, the lighting, you can do a decent, I mean, mine, I've had professional headshots and stuff. Mine, honestly, that's a selfie job. So, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I probably missed doing that. There we go. All right, perfect.
Thank you. That looks amazing.
Sorry about that. Didn't even realize that we weren't sharing here. So thank you. Thank you for bearing with. So just things to keep in mind, like I said, with your headline. Another thing, because somebody's probably thinking it, to emoji or not to emoji on the headline. And rule of thumb is that if an emoji is actually getting across a point that you're talking about, you may want to include it. So for example, I went back and forth on the emoji thing. Yep. On the emoji thing, and I, whether I'm adding them or not. So I'll give you an example. What the emoji that could make sense for my headline, maximizing business growth and efficiency for successful visionaries, would be the graph emoji with the up, going up. So something like that could make sense maybe. And like if you're in sales, an emoji like that actually could be kind of cool and kind of, like just having that visual getting across like, hey, I develop business and I make sales go up, kind of a thing. So real quick, we'll just hit contact info. We switch some things around in here. There's things that used to be here that are now other places and whatnot. Let me just move this same thing. All right. And so if I hit the little pen, phone number, completely up to you if you want to put that out there. A lot of people aren't comfortable, and I don't think that it's actually necessary, because if you're putting your resume out there, that's going to have that on there, and you're keeping that confidential with just the places you're applying to, that kind of a thing. Same thing, of course, about address and everything. Now, a lot of times they're prompting you and stuff on birth date, and I will go back and actually explain the check mark thing. But I am check marked for LinkedIn, so that means that my identity has actually been oh my gosh.
Verified.
Thank you. Thank you. And so you also can add your website there. So think about that. Of course, if you have like a portfolio or something like that you want, or a personal website, I would recommend that. If you even have, even your previous company's website or something, even if you're no longer with the position, you may want to have that there just to feature something. So this check mark I will briefly go over. That's right here next to my name. You can verify your identity with LinkedIn. I recommend it because it's not actually so much job seekers, because you're not going to be doing a whole ton of reach out. You're probably not going to have any automated systems that you're having doing reach out on your behalf. However, LinkedIn is really priding themselves on being the platform where they are, cracking down on bots and things like that. So if you do that and you have, there's that government one where you can like bypass plain lines and stuff like that. Clear, thank you.
Yeah.
If you have Clear, it's very easy. It's like it just plugs this in and immediately it just goes through. If not, you send your driver's license in to them, and then they send you a thing on they send you a QR code on the phone, and then you go through that little process, and it's pretty easy. Mine only took about 2 days to verify, and then they add it on there. I'll mention one other little tactic, if you will. This little sound speaker thing here next to the check mark on my name. So that's like a way to just add a little bell and whistle to your profile, which it's just like if it's the name pronunciation thing. So if you go on LinkedIn on your phone and you edit your profile, there's a place like right above or right below this little section where it'll ask like add name pronunciation. All that is a 10-second audio file though. So you can just say, like mine says like, hi, I'm Rae, can't wait to connect with you, something like that. Something that just kind of like, you know, so somebody hears your voice, you know, that kind of a thing. So again, just another little thing that you can take advantage of. And now too, I will mention, so there used to be not a whole lot of crazy benefit to going premium versus free on LinkedIn. But these days, they've really upped the ante, and they must be hurting for money because they really want people to pay. So one of the things is now they have on the profile, if you are a paid subscription, so even the lower, there's like 2 different tiers of premium. There's like one that's geared, the lowest one is like geared towards job seekers, and then there's another one called business, and then you get up to sales navigator, recruiter, and all of those crazy things. But one thing I will mention to you is that now this lets me have a custom button where you can click visit my website, and it takes people to my website. So when I post, that little button is under my name. So now when I put content out there, I literally have a little link right to my website right there. So that's kind of a cool feature that's part of premium that they're doing now. And then let me just go ahead and go back here. Another thing is analytics. That's a paid subscription thing too. There might be a slight bit with free still, but not as much. Another big thing is doing reach out. If you're connecting with people or if you're researching companies and then you're trying to directly connect with hiring managers, of course, there's the in-mails that you can only do through premium, but also connection requests, you can only personalize, I think it's up to 5 a month on the free version. So you can only send notes with the connection request now on free, really doing a paid one. And for me, that's a big one because it's like I'm connecting, meeting people all the time, networking, and it's like, I want to be able to say, hey, I met you today, great to connect, you know, that kind of a thing. So that's another huge thing. Another cool thing they did for the profile, which I think is a really great tool for people. You're making a face like, no question. Oh, okay. I was like, you have a question? Okay. Another cool thing that's on premium only is you can feature top skills right at the top of your profile now. So see this, now I have my about summary here, but this little top skills, I was able to pick skills that are not just in the skills section towards the bottom of the profile now, they're actually featured right up here. So if you take your industry and you go for your top keywords, just by looking through job descriptions where, like, you know, if you've identified a few that you've applied for that you're like, oh, I really would love for them to call me, you know, go through and see what it is that they're really targeting. And I would go and then pick those top skills to feature right on your profile so that those keywords are front and center. So that's a really cool thing. Again, that is on premium only. So if you have the free, they always give you a freebie month. So I highly recommend, you know, going in and just hitting a freebie month and checking it out so that you can check out the premium. Another thing that may or may not be applicable to your industry, it may or may not make sense. There is a services page, which they let you do on free, but it doesn't have as much to it, where you can feature services that you're offering that actually they have a whole thing now where somebody looking for a project manager can put through a request, and then you can actually get a notification that this person is looking for a project manager, and do you want to quote on this job? So I guess they're trying to like compete with like an Upwork situation or what have you, you know, like expanding those kinds of things to try to stay on top. But
So is that somebody who's trying to, like, I see like chiropractor, Fort Wayne?
those are my services. So that's actually websites that I've built. So that's like
so this is stuff that you have. These are clients that you have.
Yes.
Okay,
So
got it.
the cool thing about services though is, so it's got a portfolio type piece where you can, so like I've built websites. So those are the things that I'm featuring, but that could make sense for a number of other things if you work, you know, massive projects and, you know, been on a project that's I don't know, like a new hospital building, you know, or something like that. It may be something that you're able to feature here on this. So there's another piece to it where you can ask for reviews from past clients as well through that services page. So, and it's different than recommendations on your profile, which we will get to and we'll talk about too. But it's just a little, like I said, just a little something extra, another place for you to get in those keywords that are associated with what you're trying to do, and be able to kind of showcase. There is also something called a featured section on the profile, which they added probably about 2.5 years ago. And this is pretty cool because you can feature posts that you've made. So let's say you have like a commentary on a recent trending news article that's very, you know, up and coming in your industry. You know, maybe you want to feature that, you know, putting out there like, you know, hey, I support this part of the industry, what have you. You can feature documents there as well. So pieces of media. This is also available on free. So if you have the free, I highly recommend adding the featured section. So experience. Think about showcasing your experience as not just another place to put your resume. So depending on how your resume is, think about really going for the accomplishments at where you've worked and focusing on those, and really those pieces of like when somebody's scrolling through, you know, what did this person really accomplish there, as opposed to like, I did a banker and I did financial stuff, you know, whatever. So I'll you know, on my, like for my LinkedIn strategist business, I have, you know, basically kind of like the highlight of what I've done and like how I'm going to help you too. So think about it not as that being just for people that are looking for business or a B2B person on here. Think of it for somebody in transition as well, because it's all about really kind of selling the new company, right? On what it is you do and why you're different and why it makes sense for you to land that job. So, so think about it there, and what you can do as far as featuring those accomplishments, and sort of maybe even a little call to action in there too. If there's website, you know, landing pages or something that you can, that you've been a part of or something. Yes.
What do you think the outcome on quote unquote bullet points without listing resume? I'm looking at yours right there with 16 more. I would guess typically 2 or 3, you know.
I have a bunch here. This is, for me, it's kind of a little bit different because my skill set is a bit generalist and I'm not actually targeting very specific. I'm going against the grain. My actual target, so is like I said, it's not quite so specific. So I want kind of like literally everything. I'm not marrying in a certain way or just going for marketing. So I'm just talking the marketing stuff of places I'm talking kind of like everything. So think about the specificity in what it is you want to do. If it's something that would, require you to have had certain experiences, really just focus on those then. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, so your answer is,
Yeah. So again, education we kind of covered up, before. You want to, have those pieces in there, making sure that that's there. Licenses and certifications really could be anything included, because again, even if it's not relevant and maybe from an old career, even include it, because you never know what could be a connection point. It's not harmful in this case. Volunteering, absolutely. Anything you volunteered in, put it in there. It's really important to kind of showcase that, like, hey, I'm a good human. I help out people. Skills, again, this, keep in mind the way that LinkedIn's algorithm is working, especially if you have premium, you get a lot more insight into this. When you're applying to jobs, it's suggesting things based on a lot of this out of the skills section. So now, if let's put ourselves in a recruiter's position for a second. If you're getting inundated with resumes, how are you really keeping up with, the 1,000 that's coming through or something, and really saying, yeah, but who am I going to look at? Who am I going to look at first? Now, it could be somebody just going by chance and like, oh, I'm going to work on this today, and whoever's, just put their stuff through today, I'm going to look at their stuff or whatever. But LinkedIn is telling them how many skills that they have selected they need for the job, and how many skills an applicant has. So, and like I said, those insights are available to you if you have premium. It will tell you you have 3 out of the 10 skills required. So you can then have the opportunity, of course, to go back and edit your profile to put in the skills that may be missing. So again, this isn't quite as crucial for something that's extremely specific and maybe requires like very, very specific. Like if I'm a developer and JS Node and JavaScript is what I'm in, I'm not going to have to really change much of that because I'm only going for jobs that want JS Node and JavaScript, right? So, but think about this as things shift and change, and as you're applying to more and more things and seeing like, okay, this skill set actually, it's like the same job, but it's completely different than the one I just applied to. So let me make sure I have the skills that maybe they're looking for. You can have up to, it was up to 50. I don't think that they've changed that. So feel free to, just keep adding as you need them, when you're applying to things. Recommendations, if you don't have any, I highly recommend getting some. You have to be connected to the person that you want to ask. So just make sure, you can fish your first level connections and you can go through and just say, oh, okay. It doesn't even necessarily need to be a prior boss. It could be somebody that you went to preschool with that knows you and knows you're a good person and will say nice stuff about it. I mean, that's absolutely fine. This is the professional platform and everything like that. LinkedIn does ask you to put in the relationship you have to the person. You could always just say, we work together at separate companies, that kind of thing, for something like that. Courses, one thing I've been exploring recently and even previously is the premium subscriptions. They're learning resources and stuff like that. Really, really cool stuff that they have in there. So if you have a premium subscription and you're going for your next role, there might be little things that you can do. Like, yeah, maybe you're not going to say, I'm going to get a second master's degree just to change my job, but there could be little things that could give you the experience and insight that you need professionally to make sure that you have the wherewithal to be able to maybe answer questions that you wouldn't have had prior. Organizations, another opportunity, like even if it's like the Fishing Association of Tennessee, put it in there. Could be a nice connection point. So that's everything on the profile. for right now. Questions? Yes.
Asking about the open to work banner.
Yep. So that one, what it does is internally that signals to recruiters that you're open. However, if you are trying to get very highly coveted positions, recruiters will tell you all day long that they recruit if you're not looking. They will not knock on your door if it's obvious that you're looking. So think about it, think about kind of your industry in particular and what you think makes sense and what other professionals are doing, I would say, in your industry. Any other questions or questions from anybody online?
Does anyone at home have any questions?
I'm all set here. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you wanted to ask about? One last thing I will mention that's not profile related is there's a lot of scam jobs out there. So just be careful when you're sending your resume on LinkedIn. I've actually seen better results with Indeed than LinkedIn. Not to say that there aren't legit stuff out there on LinkedIn, there are, but.
Are there any tells?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think.
Say if are there any
Yeah.
tells that kind of indicate?
A big red flag would be a company that doesn't have a picture. And the other thing I would say is there's scams now even where real people's stuff is being hacked and they're an employee of the company. So it looks pretty legit to a certain point, but always look at the title of the person. So if it lets you access the hiring person, the person that actually posted the job, look at their full profile and look at their title, because if it's a title that doesn't really make sense, then it's a hack job, and you may even want to message that person and say, hey, this job thing is going on.
I mean, maybe a stupid question. What do people do? Like, why are they posting fake jobs, and what do they do with the resumes that they get? I mean, what use is it to them?
That's the
Just
scary
identity
thing.
theft?
Yeah, exactly. That's the scary thing, is that they're actually just looking for your information. And because it's a resume, I'm sure you have your phone number on there. You have, all of your email and everything. And just with that, I mean, your location, maybe your address. People have come away from, I think, putting their full addresses on there. But like mine says Mount Juliet, Tennessee. I mean, so it's really scary. But yeah, unfortunately, that's
It might be helpful to talk about in the world's changing. There's headhunters who so I mean, the question is job postings. You use your own personal network, obviously, but Indeed, I hadn't really thought of that. But the senior level jobs, would they go to LinkedIn the majority of the time, Indeed some of the time? I mean, what are your thoughts on that whole thing?
I've seen both. I think that the more specific and niche your industry, the much lesser of a chance that there's going to be spam on them. Like there's going to be a much higher.
I'm not concerned about spam. It's just more the impersonal nature of, the AI, and, you're never sure if you're going to, get looked at as it relates to who the actual person is. Is this a good use of my hour and a half of my time filling out a form?
I'll tell you the size of the business, because if it's a recruiting company, which you'll be able to know from the job description, usually they have to say for our client as part of the job description. So you usually know if it's a recruiting company. If you have to put your resume through one of their lovely softwares that exist and stuff, I would say try to go with the ones that actually are doing like the LinkedIn system, because that's actually then a person that's sifting through them. If it's one of those systems, you're just going into their system and probably never even.
And the majority of employers, I'm just thinking out loud, would typically post a job opening or something they're interested in on their own website, right? So you can figure out what companies they're interested in. That's likely to be more timely.
That can be more timely, but again, that's not even a sure thing that even when they have their own systems built, a lot of times they're using recruiting agencies too, even if they have their own recruiting department. So just something to keep in mind, where if you can get a real person's name out of somewhere, that's your best bet, is being able to then at least you floated your resume to where it needs to actually go. So just being wary of that, because my stint with the headhunting agency just gave me a bit of insight onto where does your resume go? An actual black hole. An actual black hole. Just to put that out there. And again, if it's more specific and everything, be very weary of getting the right keywords very forward, very quickly on what you're doing.
Scott Serban at home. Thank you for your question, Scott. He says, what are your thoughts on AI resume / cover letter development services such as Teal?
Teal I'm not familiar with, but there's so much stuff out there, and even more coming out right now. And I would say just, do your homework as far as what it kind of needs to look like, and then test the tools, A/B test, and honestly, it's probably, you're much better off, I think, spending on having a mentor that's in the industry and having a professional coach actually coach you through what your resume needs to say, because the AI tools, they're still, it's been around a long time, but it hasn't, and there's still so many of them in infancy stage that I would just be concerned.
Well, thank you. I had the fun experience of renting a truck and moving a bunch of things around this weekend. And if you ever rent a truck from Home Depot, they will use Clear to verify your identity. So, and I actually saw something I thought that tied to LinkedIn, but how would you go about getting your identity verified on LinkedIn?
So if you haven't done it already, there's something in the profile that asks you, and then what it'll do is it sends a QR code. See, because I have it, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But if you go into settings and privacy, I think it was somewhere in here. Yeah, here we go, profile information for verifications. So I'm identified or verified already, but this will have either it will have the QR code right there, or ask for your phone number to put to send you a QR code, and then you do the process via your phone.
Awesome, thank you.
What is the purpose of the check mark?
Yes, so it means that your ID has been verified, meaning that they know you are a real person. And it's a good thing, because if you're doing a lot of reach out, a lot of research and connecting with a lot of people, like trying to grow your network quickly, even if it's just you doing it, you're not using like AI or something, it can trigger the algorithm, because it's very sensitive, to be like, this person's doing risky behavior, we're going to slap you on the wrist and you can't connect with people for a week. So it does a lot of that, and that kind of stuff. It's not like there's somebody in an office somewhere that you can go and appeal to. So I would just say, if you're open to it, go ahead and get your ID there. At least for LinkedIn, yeah.
So it's what you have, and well, like I was just looking at my profile. This is verified by Clear under identity. Is that really all it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did something right.
Yeah, bravo.
You don't have to wait to get 1,000 followers like on Instagram or with these others.
No, because this legit, they are really trying to eliminate bogus profiles and stuff like that. So also, food for thought, if you're just jumping onto LinkedIn, never leave an old profile and say, I'm just going to create a new one. No, always rebrand, just update the new one. Don't do that. There is actually a really, really old one that I have sitting out there that I do have to get with LinkedIn and get them put together. But LinkedIn definitely frowns on that. So you can get trouble. Another thing it could do too is, I know a lot of people have like on their names, they have like the comma MBA or PhD or something like that. LinkedIn also kind of frowns on that a little bit. So if you do update anything on your name, it could trick an algorithm into thinking like, whoa, this is a faulty person here, and it could give you a little slap on the wrist for something. So be careful.
Have you noticed that with people that get married and change their name?
I haven't heard of it happening that way. It happened to me with a couple of clients that wanted to add something like a credential to their name. That's where it happened, and I know I haven't seen that in a couple of years, but I mean, I'm not dealing with nearly as many clients, of course, as I used to when I was at the LinkedIn lead gen company. So I can tell you that I remember one in particular, he wanted to add the PhD and he couldn't do any reach out for like a week. So
Maybe do those things before you go on a vacation.
that could be a good idea and a way to do it. Yes, just in case.
Has anyone at home thought of any other questions?
Awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you. I hope you guys learned a little something.
Definitely. It was great to get kind of the update on what's now paid and what's, I mean, yeah, I guess I didn't realize how much shifting, what you get for free and what you don't get for free. I feel like I noticed, like when people look at your profile and stuff, I feel like you be able to see everybody. And then you sit there and think,
But it helps to be able to contact them and get their contact data, right?
Yes.
So that's why you would pay the $60, $70 a month.
Absolutely.
If you do want to send in there or get their email.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, did you say, so on the paid subscription now, is there a different way that you can contact folks within, or do you still just use the in-mail or?
No, there's the in-mail and there's more credits for that than there used to be. But you have to have premium even on the jobs that you can see the posting hiring manager. So then you'd be able to click on them, and even if you're out of in-mails, then you can go and connection request them.
Okay.
And see if you could just connect, if they'll accept you and connect. You can send them messages, that way. I always go for that first over the in-mail especially because LinkedIn now has the separator in the inbox, where in-mails don't go to your main inbox. They go to a back inbox.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
And so I'm sorry, you saying you're messaging people through the connection?
Yeah, so I
Okay.
prefer to do it like.
A customized, I'd like to connect with you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll say,
Okay.
I'll first go over, and if they posted anything about the fact that they're looking for somebody or like a job description or something, if they posted that as content, I'll go to the profile, I'll comment on that first, and then I'll send the connection request so that they kind of get a couple of hits of my name, just like
Okay.
to refresh the memory, a couple of touch points in, and then, hopefully they connect, and then you can actually message them and say, hey, that's how I started work for the headhunting agency, was through LinkedIn.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Exactly that way. And I hit him up on LinkedIn and I was like, hey,
Okay.
hello.
That's good advice. Cause I tell people in this group when I went through my last transition, which was 8 years ago now, I was amazed at how receptive folks were when I would just message them through the in-mail and say, hey, do you want to grab a cup of coffee or whatever? And it was really useful for that. I feel like nowadays there's so much spam. No one pays any attention to it anymore. And So I now always just try and go outside of LinkedIn. I might find them on LinkedIn, but then I'll just try and find their email address through like it's like hunter.io, where you can like look up kind of the nomenclature for like a company's email is like a website. And yeah, and then I'll just kind of do first name dot last name, like at, wherever they work. And usually, I'd say 9 times out of 10, you can kind of figure out what their email is and just do it that way. Cause yeah, people will still connect on LinkedIn. And I do think it's valuable to use that personalized connection message. But yeah, the in-mail has become almost, I feel like, useless.
It is.
From a
and one thing I will
standpoint.
say, set yourself apart and don't send the same message. That's probably a lot more true for people going B2B sales and things, but be as personalized as you possibly can be. Like, messages that have come from random people that I responded to is when somebody started off with a dad joke and made me laugh, and literally, you know what I mean? Like, just ways to literally connect, like, instead of it being like, God, I can't wait to get an interview with you, and I want to get in that job, being like, hey, I noticed that you have a heck of a background. My gosh, you have a master's degree from Columbia. Whoa, like, that's crazy. I would really love to, it would be, it'd be such an honor to be connected with you, see your content or something. So you can start off with maybe a little something to try to just get the foot in the door, and then say, hey, I saw you're hiring and stuff, and I have this kind of a background. I would say always go. So I was just reading a book that was talking about cover letters, about always sort of flipping it around and selling yourself first. Like, it's always about, and you've probably heard this a million times, but it really is always about, like, what can you do for them? So, think about too, who's the hiring manager? What particular things are they facing? Because if they're responsible for a budget, it might be different than somebody that isn't, than somebody that's in more of a marketing role, or somebody in a buying role versus, so think about that too, and tailoring to, what could I bring to the table to solve for them personally too?
Yeah.
So I'll wrap it up.
That's great.
Like did you say something about the, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what to call, like, I have on Indeed, and I think on LinkedIn also, where many of the jobs I apply for do a lot of it's like the fast fill and all that, and to get as many applications in as possible. Is there a disadvantage to any of that? Or, I mean, you kind of have to go through it, but
it would depend on how vastly different the job descriptions are. Like, if you're not tailoring to the particular needs, then I would say it's really not, it's going to be useless sending a resume through. You know what I mean? Because it's got to be really tailored to what I would say, even though it seems like it's a quantity over quality type of situation, it's not, because then it's also, you got to think of it this way. If you're lobbing a resume out there to a bunch of black holes, it's going to take the toll on you feeling rejected. And you're not rejected, it's just nobody's actually looking at it. So you just got to think of it that way, and do a little bit of research. I mean, and I think
you can adjust some of it before you send it.
Yeah.
But then I don't have to fill in like every
right.
job over and over. That doesn't change.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
No, if you can directly reach out to the hiring manager, always do it. Even if they don't accept your connection request or they don't check their email, it's still worth sending, because there's that shot that they will. Because I've seen it happen to myself, where actually somebody actually did respond and got my foot in the door and did the job. That's a very direct way to do it, and that certainly sets you apart. So I would say go for it.
Okay. Because there's banks everywhere, and I can always just drive to them.
I would say absolutely go for it.
A professional man.
Yeah, and I know one gentleman that came to the front desk of the company I work for, and it can't hurt you know, if you go to apply, then the person might say, well, yeah, I saw this guy, or saw him come in, you know, and then just you're following all the channels, but I don't think it hurts, you know, if you know the right place to go.
One last thing, levelupOnLinkedIn.net is my website. I have a free profile checklist on there that you can download.
So, what's your, that's pretty kind of you. What is it?
LevelUpOnLinkedIn.net. The .com is way too expensive. It's .net.
Right hand.
You can find it through that too. My business website, you can find it through that too, but it's leveluponlinkedin.net.
That's the web address?
Yeah. Mhm. Yep, you got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
Thank you. Reach out to me on LinkedIn and we'll connect.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll be reaching out. I'm Georgia. I'm also in marketing, and I'll be reaching out to connect. I'd love to chat with you.
Please do. We'll grab a virtual coffee. That sounds great.
Sounds great. Thanks. Bye.
Cool.
All right. Thanks everybody for coming. We appreciate you.
Is that market?
That's been sort of that's involved a bit to